Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. Alright, so we are here today to play around and experiment with the Warfare 1 Field Engineer DLC and update 1.198. Alright, so we are here with Warfare 1 update, which is 1.198. And also with the Field Engineer DLC. So first things first, gotta change out from my prisoner suit into our new assault suit. So we have assault helmet, assault suit, assault gloves, and assault boots. So pretty much put it as I could change the color if we want to, but if we left it as white, we kind of look like a stormtrooper. So which is not too bad. So looking at this, we have a pretty nifty suit. I mean, the jetpack and everything like that looks the same with the backpack with a little bit different design. We have knee pads, little, I don't know, lap pockets, I guess you can call them. I don't know what they're really called. Got some little nice symbols and a cool little helmet. So of course, that is part of the new DLC. All right, so let's cover the Field Engineer DLC first. And of course, the question at the very end is it worth purchasing? Alright, so first things first, going down the list, we have first a weapons rack. So weapons rack has the rifles, all different kinds of rifles here, ammo, and all the different kind of ammos that are available now. It also looks like it has some of the scopes here too, which is cool. So it has a large grid weapon rack, and it comes in small grid. So the small grid takes 2 blocks vertically or horizontally if you flip it. But it is just 2 blocks up, as you see here, and it just has, you know, a basic rifle in these weapon racks, and you can always get right into it and throw in your weapons there. And the cool thing about it is that it's all linked into this grouping here, which is the weapon rack with the lockers, armor lockers, and armory. So that's all kind of same place where you put your weapons, ammo, and things like that. So that's a nice little addition to the game within the DLC. Alright, so the next thing here, we have half window blocks. And this is actually something I've been asking for in my Surviving Pertam, the Wasteland series, where I was trying to build a home using something like this. Now we have it. Perfect. Now I can finally use it to build my home the right way. And then just looking at the blocks itself, you have the half window blocks. You have a half window inverted, so then you have tinted side and you have the clear side that way. We also have half window corners, which is this here. So you have a little corner here. And of course that comes inverted as well. So these are new windows to be had. Perfect for the build, my home build. So I'm excited about using these in the future. Next thing is fire cover. So we have these little fire covers here. And we can of course use this to keep ourselves safe from enemy attack. And have pretty much duck to have cover. And of course that fire cover also comes in corners. So you have corners such as this here, where you can pretty much put a U shape and have a nice little design there. The next thing we have is an embrasure, which is this little thing here, which acts as a pretty much shield or barrier. So the back side of it looks like this, where you have a little hole which you can pretty much shoot through if you needed to, as you see there. So that gives us a really cool looking cover where we can shoot through the little hole, as long as you aim correctly, unlike what I'm doing, and get some really good cover this way instead of you know, ducking for cover. The unfortunate part about this is that your head kind of sticks up if you're ducking, so you may want to like put your head down a little bit more. But it looks like your backpack kind of peeks out a little bit too, which is funny. Right, so I think the biggest addition to the game with this DLC is going to be passages, which are these things here, which honestly I don't even use too much, but now that we have more options for different passages, I would start using these a lot more to have different designs, especially since we have this one here, which is the passage 3 wall or side walls, where you can make pretty much a nice little shape here for an extension. I mean, you could pretty much make it as far as that if you like, and then add something right in the middle, and you can just stretch out these passages. So that's a pretty cool addition to designing or decorating a ship, rover, or base. And of course you have this one too, which is a passage 3 cross. So then you can pretty much create different hallways for yourself. So if you go this way, make a left, you know, something like that, simple as that. And we also have a passage frame, which is kind of a half block kind of frame. So you can put this in front of the cross or in front of any of these passages to decorate it some more. And lastly, we have this passage, which has a light. And this one is called the Passage 3 Light. So it has kind of like an interior light stuck right here in the middle top to give it some pretty much lighting effect. So, I mean, a way to design this is either use all this throughout your passages or mix them in, where you can have some light on there, then a really, really dark hallway kind of situation. And then we also have the 2 emotes here as well. So the emote that we have here is called the Finger Guns. And the second one is the Got Hit emote. Alright, so that's it for the Field Engineer DLC pack. And the question is it worth buying? And honestly, my answer is going to be it depends. And I know that's probably something you might not want to hear, but honestly, I purchased it because not only that you get these blocks, the 2 emotes, and the assault skin, which doesn't sound like much. Well, in some ways, it isn't much for DLC, to be honest. And it looks like there might be a Warfare 2 or maybe even more than that. I'm not sure. But honestly, purchasing the DLC will support the devs because they also did provide an update with free stuff as well. So, in my opinion, if you like the game, you want to support the devs, then yes, I think it's worth purchasing the DLC. But of course, that's your choice. But I think all in all, the whole update with the DLC is, you know, a decent purchase. Not too bad at all. Again, that's up to you and how you want to spend your money. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money. Alright, so with the Warfare 1 update or update 1.198, there's some free content here, free stuff. Number 1 being, of course, ignoring this pistol here. And that is that damage indicator. As you see there is blue. So that damage indicator, of course, shows you when you hit something. So if you damaged it, then it'll pop up as you see if I did hit something. So yeah, the damage indicator, it pops up when you hit something. So this one is in blue, but you can change all that in your options. You can go to options, game, and go to the UI. So now that's where you're going to show you whether you want to show your crosshairs. I always have it hidden for recording purposes. But you have your iron sight switch states. You can toggle it, hold. I think on default it's on toggle. And you can select the hit types. Here, you can change the color and transparency of the crosshair itself. So if you hit an enemy, you can change the color to red. If you hit a friendly, it's green. If you do a headshot, you have orange. If you do a kill, it's a red as well. If you hit a grid, it's blue. Like I just hit, it was blue because it was a grid. So you can change all that to your liking as much as you want. And some other updates, of course, you probably just saw through my tools here. We have now pistols. So we have an S10 pistol, as you see here, with the iron sight zoom, which is pretty cool. So if you want to see the weapon itself, this is what it looks like on the handgun outside. That's the first one. And then we have the second one, which is the S20A. It's red. Has a nice little clip. I think it's a pretty long clip actually right here, which is not too bad. And I believe this one's also an iron sight view, but it is a full automatic pistol, which is pretty cool. And the third pistol here is the S10E, which is this little black and gold weapon. And that one has a bit of a red dot scope for aiming, basically. It's pretty much a single fire, but if you click it fast enough, it's a kind of like a semi-auto, I guess you can call it. And here's the scope here, so it's not an iron sight in that way. Alright, and of course, as you notice, other than just these pistols, you do have recoil, which is a bit of a change. There was a bit of recoil with the rifles before, but it's a little more dramatic now. And also different weapon sounds as you hear them shoot. And of course, reloading. So there are different reload animations for these new weapons here. They also changed out the rifles a bit and renamed them. So we have an MR20, which is the, kind of like the default rifle that we had previously, which isn't too bad. And they changed the sound and the recoil of the weapon itself. And of course, the reload, as you saw there. And of course, the precision rifle, what it used to be called, is now the Mr. 8P or MR8P. Just kidding. And again, it sounds a little different. It has a reload and also has recoil as well. And then of course we have the rapid fire one, which is now called the MR50A, which also has a crazy recoil going up and a reload process too. So another way to reload is of course pressing R like most games, or you can press the 2-bar number itself to do the reload. And then I think this was called the Elite rifle before or something like that, and this one's the Mr. 30E. I'm just kidding. The MR30E, which is I think the burst shot, 3-round burst shot rifle, and it has I think it sounds a little different, and it has that reload animation too, which is awesome. And the most exciting thing that we have now is rocket launchers. So we have an RO1. Is that O or 0? I think it's an RO. RO1. And if you zoom in, you have a bit of a scope here, and you can shoot things down like so. Oh, almost hit it. And it's a bit of a long reload. I think the reload animation is a little bit odd. So as you see here, I'm going to shoot this, and it kind of throws the old shell in the pocket and picks up a new shell and put it on there, and it takes a bit of time to reload. Honestly, I would probably want to see a little bit better of an animation where you just dump the old clip and put in a new clip that way, and not have that weird little pause with your hands on your hip. That's the only gripe I had about the rocket launcher. But handheld rocket launcher is an awesome idea. Why? Because now I can use this to take down trees with. That's not exactly the only thing I'm using it for, but that's just an example. And of course, we have the PRO1 or the Pro 1, and this is a fairly big rocket launcher, as you see here, and it has a pretty cool scope, very precision scope basically. And of course, we're gonna use this tree again as an example, and I could take down trees very easily in Space Engineers instead of chopping it down with my grinders as I usually do. I can do it at a distance now. And the animation for the reload is very similar, the same. It just grabs the old shells, recycles it, and then pulls up a new shell. I get the rocket launcher should have a long reload, especially for PvP, but I mean, if you can, I think if you could do the animation a little bit differently, where it shows more where it shows how you reload them, it'll be a little bit better than seeing a long reload such as that. But yeah, that's just a minor thing, so it's not too bad whatsoever. And of course, we have some free passage blocks as well. So we have this one here, which is a passage 2. It doesn't look as cool as the purchase DLC passages, but it's a change. It doesn't look terrible at all. It looks better than the older ones, to be honest. It has a little bit of almost like a light here too, which can give a little bit of a glow. And in previous times, we only had a passage like this, which looked it looks okay, but it always looked a little cramped to me, so I never really used it. But this one is not as cramped, so I might be using these passages going forward. And of course, it has this one too, which is the side one, so you can connect two to make a longer type of passage, which is like coolest idea so far. Coolest idea for these things. And this one has like, it looks like, you know, the engineering piece, the electrical sockets and things like that there, which is cool. Other than that, we have one of my favorite new updates, which is these guys here, which are our target dummies. So target dummies are great for shooting, basically. So you can shoot these target dummies down a bit and they respawn like that. So if you shoot this guy down, it takes a couple shots. Maybe I should use a rifle, and they just kind of fall apart that way. Alright, so the coolest part about the target dummy is that you can add actions into the control panel. So if you go into the control panel, space for 2 actions, you have action 1 here and action 2 here. And what I did here was basically toggle interior light to go on and off when it gets pretty much hit. So for an example, that's the green light there. So if I shoot this target dummy here, it turns on. I shoot again, it turns off. So that is a pretty nifty thing to have. Alright, so other than that, and other little designs there and there is pretty much the ammo itself. So there's different ammos for each rifle, each pistol, as you see here. So they're all coded. The MR20 comes with an MR20 magazine. You know, you get the idea here. And they're all kind of designed out, which is pretty cool. And one of the coolest part of the update, there is a new PvP scenario called Uranium Heist, which is this right here. Alright, so there's many other small little fixes and features or update features. I'll leave a link down in the description below. So it will give you all the details of each update feature, fixes and improvements. So if you have that, so you can have that and review it yourself as well. Alright, so today's video is not much of an experiment, but I can think of a lot of different experiments that I will be doing with the Warfare 1 Field Engineer DLC items like the target dummy and also the passages here. So I look forward to experimenting with those and playing around with them down the line. Alright, so one thing I want to cover really quickly, because I mentioned last week I was going to do a proper experiment, and that was actually going to be experimenting collecting ores and materials with a rocket launcher using the large grid or small grid rocket launchers. But now since we have the handheld rockets, we can easily create that experiment and see if it works out. So this is going to be probably the quickest experiment ever, because I tested this out earlier and the answer is no, you cannot collect ores with rocket launchers. So as you see here, when I shoot rockets, ores come out, but they also disappear. So I thought about this idea when I was playing around with these rocket launchers here, and when I was shooting the ground, I saw a whole bunch of ores come out, a lot more than the handheld ones. So let's just jump into this one here. And if I shot the ground as much as I can, you'll see a whole bunch of ore came out. So the idea was to see if we can mine ore with that, probably shooting a mountain and collecting it with the collector. But of course the answer is no, because those ores are not real. They do disappear eventually, so you cannot collect them. So that was kind of the experiment I had. Unfortunately I had to scratch it. New update came up, so now we have more things to play with, more experiments to test, especially with new items and new blocks, which is pretty cool. Alright, so thank you very much for watching this episode, which is playing around with the new update and DLC pack. This was not necessarily an experiment, but of course me playing around with random things once again. And of course, if you made it this far in the video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up, like the video. If you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment down below. Let us know if you like this update and DLC pack. And of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.